right, video number 2. Oh, video number 2. Here we go. These are box plots, so hopefully you guys will get to stay with my cute page now, because now I'm starting a new page and I haven't messed up yet. Okay, so let's talk about box plots. Hopefully these are something you've seen before. They look like this, only without all these lines drawn down. That's for our benefit. Okay, so hopefully you've seen something like this before. Okay, before we get started, I forgot I needed to make a couple quick corrections to this line right here. Just make this 3, that's right here, a 3.5, and make this 6.5 a 7. I made this box plot, and then I decided to put in numbers, and I tried to figure out what the numbers were, and after doing this one class period, I realized that they were wrong. So I want it to be right, so make sure you put those in there really quick, and then we'll get started. All right, so these are sometimes called box plots. They're also called box and whisker plots. Basically what it is, it's a diagram used, a diagram based on the 5-number summary. So over here, if we define it, where's my paper? There it is. It's a graphic way to display the median, quartiles, and extremes of a data set on a number line to show the distribution of the data. Okay? All right. So the first thing we need to know is, how in the world do we come up with this 5-number summary? The 5-number summary represents the minimum, Q1, which is what we call quartile 1, the median, Q3 or quartile 3, and then the maximum. These are the 5 numbers we're going to find by following these steps right here. Okay, so here we go. Now we're going to do it as we do it, we're going to follow along on this number line right here. All right, so number 1. Number 1 is something easy. We've done it before. You are just going to put your numbers in ascending order. Now, these ones are already done for you. I wanted to save time and space. So ascending order just means from smallest to largest. So you'll see we've got 1.75 here all the way up to 9. Okay, this is our smallest to our largest, already done for us. Okay, next we want to find the minimum and the maximum. Okay, now this should be super easy to do because we've got our numbers in ascending order. So our minimum is right here, and our maximum is at the end. Okay, super easy. Okay, up next, we're going to find the median. Now we know, because we just did it, that the median is the middle number. And we know how to find the middle number. If you pull out those notes that we just did, you can see right here the median number. All we have to do is put our values in order, which we've already done, from least to greatest, and then we need to find the center. So first of all, we need to know how many pieces of data we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So halfway, the middle number would be between 8 and 9, okay? Because if I was to split it right down the middle between 8 and 9, I would have 8 numbers over here and 8 numbers over here. So I need the number right in the middle of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's 8 and here's 9. Now, if the same number is on both sides, so a 5 and a 5, that means my median is also 5. So here's my median. It's 5. All right. Up next, place parentheses around the numbers above and below the median. All that means is parentheses here to kind of section off these numbers and here. Now, if we actually had one of our data values circled here in the middle, we would not include it in either set of parentheses. It would be sitting there all by itself. Okay? All right, now from there, we're going to find Q1, quartile 1, and Q3. Now, Q1 can be thought of as the median in the lower half of the data. So using just this data, we would find the middle. And Q3 can be thought of as the median for the upper half of the data. So from over here. Okay, so let's do that. So inside each set of parentheses, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means I need to find the number that falls between 4 and 5 because that would be the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 4, here's 5. Now you can see why I had to put that 0.5 there. So it falls right here. And because 3.5 is on both sides, my Q1 is equal to 3.5. Now let's do the same thing over here. Now this one has 8 numbers in it also, so I need to also find between 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 and 5 is right here. So this Q3 is equal to 7. Okay? Now, once you have all that, you plot it. Now, don't plot it actually on the number line. Put it above the number line so that you can see where the numbers are and stuff like that. If you start to put the box on the line, it starts to get really jumbled and messed up. But now we're going to talk about what all of this stuff means, okay, on our number line. What does it all mean? Why am I trying to figure this all out? So here's what we've got. So the box right here, this is what we call the IQR. It stands for interquartile range. And that's from the edge of the box to the other edge of the box. Okay, this little spot right here, this is a whisker. Hence the box and whisker plot. This one's a whisker also. Okay, both whiskers. Okay, now let's talk about the percentages that it covers and what it means. Okay, so the box is what we call the middle half of the sample. Okay, middle half of the sample. Same, the middle half of the sample is exactly equal to the IQR, or the interquartile range. Oh, sorry, that was out of the picture. There we go, a little better. Okay. Now, this represents 50% of the sample. There's 25% from the, so again, this is the median right here, just so you know. This one right here is Q1, and this one right here is Q3. Okay, so from Q1 to the median, there's 25% of the sample. Should have wrote that bigger. Okay, and then from the median to Q3, that's another 25% of the sample. Meaning that if these numbers represented scores that we'd gotten like on an assignment or something, 25% of the students would have fallen in between Q1 and the median, and another 25 would fall between the median and Q3. Okay, so together, the middle sample, or the middle half of the sample, represents 50% of our data, or the sample. Okay? Okay, so that also means that from Q3 to the edge, or from Q1 to the edge, this represents, this is what we call, or first of all, this is the minimum right here, and this is the maximum. Okay, so from the minimum to Q1, this is another 25% of the data, or sample, 25% of the data. And then from Q3 to the maximum is another 25% of the data. So if you do 25 plus 50 plus 25, you get 100% of the data falls between the minimum and the maximum, which makes sense, right? The lowest number and the highest number. Okay? Also, so from the median, so remember this is the median right here still. From the median to the max, this is half of the data. Okay? And then from the median to the minimum is another half of the data. Okay, now we're going to use all of this stuff to answer some questions. So now what you need to do is you need to, once you've got all that written down, you need to pull out that extra piece of paper it looks like this. So up here it says Unit 7B quiz, right here. Unit 7B quiz scores by period, okay? So I took your guys' last quiz that you guys took. Not the one on shifts and distance and all that, the one before that. The one on rotations, reflections, that one. That's this quiz. These are all 6 of my classes. Now, these are not in order. I mixed them all up, and I labeled them A, B, C, D, E, F, so that you guys wouldn't know whose was whose, because I didn't want you guys saying, ha ha, 4th period sucks, and we don't, you know, that kind of thing. So, if you later want to know which one is your class, I will be happy to tell you which one is your specific class, but I will not tell you what the rest of them are. All right, so what we want to know is what kind of information can we learn from comparing whisker plot, box and whisker plots? Well, we're going to do some comparison here and find out. So just so you guys know, the highest score you could get on this test was a 14. It was out of 14 points. And you'll need to know that here in a little bit because I forgot to write it down. Now, this is going to be a little difficult. I'm going to keep this here, but I'm going to be talking about these questions that fall below. But I need to keep this on the screen so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. So you'll have to kind of write in your answers as you go along. Also, you'll see right over here, there's a spot for your name because you're going to actually turn this paper in when you're done. So make sure you put your name and your period number and make sure this gets turned in before you leave class today. Okay, so the first question, it talks about period A. So we're going to be concentrating on this box right here, this box and whisker plot right there. Now it asks, did at least 50% of the students pass the test? Now from this, okay, we know that each section is worth 25%, okay? This is 25%, 25% to the line, from the line out is 25%, and then that last whisker is 25%. What we need to know is what's passing so we can figure this out. Well, in our school, 60% is passing, so I put 60% right here. That's 8.5 is our passing score. Okay, so I want to know, did at least 50% of the students get 60% or higher? So if you take your ruler, if you're having a hard time kind of matching it up, you can kind of put that in as straight as line as you can, if you need to. That way you can kind of see where 60% is. So right there is 60%, okay? All right, so what I want to know is, from this line this way, is it at least 50% of the students? Well, let's talk about this. I know that this is 25% right here. And I know from this line to this line is 25%. Okay, so 25% plus 25% is 50%. And you can see there's actually a whole nother 25% right here. And then a little bit of the last remaining 25%. So it's like probably, well, 75, it's probably at least 80% of the students pass this test. So then you can answer yes on that first one. Okay. All right. So question 2 well, number 1, the next question. What was the lowest score? What was the lowest score? Okay, I just want to know in percentage, what's the lowest score for period A? That was worded wrong, sorry. Okay, so in order to figure that out, we have to figure out, first of all, what was the lowest score? So the lowest score, remember, is our minimum. Our minimum is right here at the edge. So if I bring that down, you can see that 6 was my lowest score. So I need to do, so they got a 6 out of 14. So how do I put that into percentage? Well, take your calculator. This is how I figure out your guys' test scores, just so you guys know. If you get a 6 divide out of 14, you get that score. But then this is a decimal and I need percentages, so then I multiply by 100 and I realize that the lowest score was 42.86%. I actually probably rounded this off to a 43%. So you can put 43% right there. Okay. Now the next part of the question says, what was the median percent? So in order to find the median percent, I have to figure out what the median score was. The median is this line that cuts the box, I was going to say in half, but it never cuts it in half. Well, rarely cuts it in half. So I just need to figure out what that line is, or what that value is. So if I kind of use my ruler, I can kind of see it's just slightly past 11. So my guess would be that this the median is 11.25, because it wasn't half. And then I do the same thing. I take my calculator, I do 11.25, divide it by the total number, which was 14. Okay, then multiply that by 100, and I see that the median score was an 80%. That's not bad. So whatever class is A, that's not bad. 80% is a median score. That's pretty dang good, actually. And you can see my other classes weren't far off of that either. Even this class was higher. C was higher. The rest of them were almost, these two were almost the same, and these two were a little lower, but not below 60, which is good, okay? Okay, so let's talk about the next class, number 2. Number 2 wants to talk about period D, so we're talking about this one right here, and I can move this up a little so you can see both. Okay, so period D, it says, what was the range of the bottom 25% of the students? So I know the bottom 25 is this whisker that sticks out right here. The range, if you look back at your notes, the range is just that span of data. So I need to take the highest value and the lowest value and subtract them. So for D, out of the 25%, the high is 9 and the low is 7. So to find the range, let's see. Yeah, I can do it here. I just do 9 minus 7. Well, 9 minus 7 is 2. So the range of the last 25% is 2. Now it says, if D has 23 students, how many scored a 9 or better? Okay, so looking at D again, a 9 is right here. It's the edge of this box, okay? Now I know from here to here is 25%, from here to here is 25%, and then from here and here is 25%. So I'm looking at 75% of the 23 students. So what I want to know is, what is 75% of 23? And in order to figure that out, if you don't have the percent button, let me show you how to do it. You're going to take the total number of students, which is 23 in this case, and you're going to multiply it by 75%. Well, if you don't have a percent button, you're going to change it to a decimal. So you just put the decimal in front and then 0.75. You're moving it back 2 spots, okay? So 23 times 0.75 is 17 1/4. You can't really have a quarter of a student, but that's all right. So 17 1/4 people scored 9 or better out of class D, which is pretty dang good. Okay? Now I want to know, number 3, what is the same between period E and period F? Well, let's compare them. Period E and period F, I can still keep this up like this. Okay? All right, perfect. So period E and period F, it looks like to me they have the same maximum value of 14. Okay, they have a max value of 14. Their Q3s are different, but their medians are the same too, and it's at 11. So median value of 11. Oops, I put this in the wrong spot. I just realized that. This does not go here, this goes here. Sorry, guys. Okay. Other than that, that looks about the same. So their Q1s are different and their minimums are different. So it looks to me like both period E and F had a maximum value of 14. It means that means that it's somewhere in there, somebody at least scored 100% in both classes. And then their median value is 11, which is dang good. That's a good median value, okay? Just slightly less than C. So that's, or yeah, really good one, okay? Now let's talk about, we're here on number 4, and we're going to be talking about period C, so I have to move this up, so you'll just have to follow along on your notes and not see me right. All right, so for question 4, it says, what percentage of students scored 12 points or more? Hint, this is a little tricky. So I've got C. First of all, you guys should notice something different about C, okay? C does not have a whisker coming out here. That means between, because this is our Q3 right here, that means between their Q3 to their max value, it's 14. Their Q3 is exactly equal to their max. It's equal. So their Q3 is 14, their max is 14. That means that 25% of the students scored a 14 on the test. 25% of this class got 100% on the test. That's what that means, okay? All right, so what we want to know is what percentage of the students scored 12 points or more? So here's 12. 12 is where my median is at for C. And the reason why it's tricky is because at first you might just say, well, from here to here is only 25%. So only 25% scored more than 12. But technically, you've got that other 25% that's not hanging off here in a whisker. So this, for C, this amount right here is actually 50% of the students. Okay, so that would be 50%. Now it says, if C has 21 students, how many scored 9.5 or less? So when we're looking at C, 9.5 is actually their quartile 1 number. So from here to here, their low being a 3, how many students fall in there if there's 21 students in the class? So again, this is going to be, we know that this is 25% of the students right here, even though it looks a lot longer, it's still 25%. So we want to know is 25% of 21. And that equals, so if I put in my calculator, 0.25 times 21 is 5 1/4. So 5.25 students. Not that you can have 2.5 of a student. Okay? Okay, now you guys have questions 5 and 6 on here. Notice how question 6 says compare period B and C. Give me 3 comparisons. Now they don't have to be comparisons meaning like they're the same like we did when we talked about E and F. Okay, they can be differences. Like for example, and you cannot put this down as one of yours. You have to come up with 3 separate ones. But when I look at periods B and C, I can see that period B only had a maximum of 13, which means nobody in period B got an A, 100%. But period A did. So one comparison I would say is that period C, there were students who received 100%, but in B there weren't. But you can't use that one. You have to come up with 3 other ones on your own. Also, make sure you do question 5. Oops, question 5. And then you need to create a box plot down here at the bottom. Okay? So here's the data you're going to be using. You have to put it in order. Follow the little rules that we put together here. Follow along, make sure you get that done. Draw your box plot on top, up here, not on the actual number line, but up above. Okay, make sure you read these little boxes that are all around your paper. When you're done with this, this needs to be turned in before you leave class today. And then when you're done with that, you need to grab the homework sheet, which looks like this. It's up at the teacher's desk, okay? So make sure you grab it. This is due next class period. So make sure you get that done as well. This one's super easy. No worries. Okay? All right, guys. Thanks.